How's it going, guys? Gamer Critic here. Do you remember Celeste? That 2D platformer that came out back in 2018 that was developed by Maddie Makes Games? Yeah, that game was incredible. So I remember when I first saw Celeste after everyone was singing its non-stop collective praise and thinking to myself, I don't get it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it had a lot of cool stuff about it. The 2D art style was always beautiful. I liked the music I was hearing. Even the gameplay looked like quality, if unremarkable, platforming. It seemed like, by all accounts, a solid 2D platformer that I'd like to play, but didn't expect to set the world on fire. Over the years, I had everyone tell me if you love indies, which I did, and you love platformers, which I also did, you owe it to yourself to play Celeste. And when I finally played it on my Switch for the first time in 2020, I absolutely 100% was blown away by what Celeste managed to do with essentially so little. Celeste is without a doubt one of the tightest, best feeling platformers ever made. Every jump, dash, and grab in this game feels insanely responsive. I mean, Celeste is hard. I've died so many times in this game, it's honestly ridiculous. But the game is so tight in its controls that if you ever mistime a jump or dash in the wrong direction, you know it's your fault and not the game working against you, which is a really big deal. Between the three moves that you get, the game throws new and surprising ways to incorporate the same three moves. One level has you using the wind to time your own respective jumps and dashes. Another level has you dodging multi-eyed monsters. Another level has you using these gel-like orbs that shoot you across the level. The game introduces new concepts one at a time to not overwhelm you. But once you've mastered it, the game then starts to mix the new with the old, and the result is platforming that is always working on top of one another. It can get so hectic that it can almost feel like you're playing like some kind of Mortal Kombat Street Fighter game, you know? Like pressing several buttons at the same time to connect these quick inputs to ensure that you are able to make it across that chasm just in time. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? However, it's the type of platforming that requires more than nimble fingers, but concise thought. Some of my favorite moments of gameplay in Celeste are dying over and over and over and over and over again, but then having a sort of eureka moment and taking a new approach with a new timing. It's those moments that helps to make Celeste among not just the best indie platformers, but modern platformers in general. Something that requires both quick hands and quick thought. The game already excels at being one of the best playing platformers ever. It could have just left the game with that, and it still would have been very highly praised. But no, Celeste decides to go a step beyond and excel at aspects, frankly, it didn't even have to. Like its gorgeous 8-bit art style with color littering the screen. An incredible soundtrack that is absolutely a treat for the ears. It's actually one of my personal favorite soundtracks of all time. I love the music in this game, particularly the opening theme. That is a get hype theme if I ever heard one. But most importantly, the thing that this game didn't have to do nearly as well as it did was its real, honest to God, deeply moving story. So Celeste takes its main premise of climbing a mountain. That's essentially what the game is. You're climbing a mountain. Celeste takes its main premise of climbing a mountain and it turns it into a tale touching on some deep, complex themes of anxiety, self-doubt, acceptance, learning to love yourself. It's a game that tackles mental health honestly better than most modern day media today. The game's focus on Madeline and her issues can be so relatable to just about anyone who has ever felt like they weren't good enough or strong enough. Madeline climbing up the mountain while dealing with her own doubts and fears, literally personified in Badeline, aka Part of You, is where this story, and by extension this game, goes from great to wonderful. Her relationship with Badeline is a perfect representation of what anyone dealing with these issues needs to hear, even myself occasionally. Listen, everyone has those anxieties and those doubts, but what's important is not to ignore them, because whether you like it or not, they're a part of you. Accepting and learning from them, and more importantly, learning how to live and cope with them, is how you can truly be at peace with yourself. At least that's what I got from it. But it's even better because while that story is so deep and emotional, it's connected masterfully to the gameplay. And that's honestly one of the most beautiful parts about Celeste. And what turns Celeste from a great game to an all-time favorite for me. Celeste is hard. Celeste is very hard. But with how hard Celeste is, it's never punishing. From the very first line of the game, reassuring the player you can do this is what showed me just how different Celeste was. Celeste isn't a hard game that revels in your failure. This isn't a From Software game flashing big red "you died" in front of your screen and making you restart several minutes back to an old save. No, when you die in Celeste, you're almost instantly transported back to the start of the level. The game doesn't try to rub failure in your face, but it actually tries to encourage you. It actually tries to tell you that failure in this game is not only good, but it's necessary. From the cute little tips that are present when a level is loading in, saying things like strawberries are just for bragging rights only, or how a player should actually feel proud of their death count. Like, when is this type of uplifting stuff ever said in a game? Celeste is a game that doesn't kick you when you're down. And after your 100th death, your 200th death, your 500th death, Celeste is actively encouraging you, motivating you. And I just think that is a quality you don't find in many games. It's just such a wholesome game. When was the last time you had a game cheer you on this much? This game is just the equivalent of that super supportive best friend or parent or significant other that is just in the background saying, "You can do this, don't give up, one more time." It's just pure uplifting feels, and it's something that still to this day I have yet to see a game do as much, or frankly as well, as Celeste. Between great platforming, wonderful music, exceptional visuals, a moving story, and a wonderful and just plain feel-good message, Celeste truly is an indie gem that I have played multiple times in the past, and I will continue to play many more times in the future. And my friend, if you haven't played this game yet, well, what are you waiting for? Go out, play this game, and find out what all the hype is truly about. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think this is gonna be a new thing. There are so many games that I love, and some games I don't love, but I'm passionate about, that I really want to talk about. So I think I'm gonna try and start doing these a lot more. But yep, not sure what the next review is. It's either going to be a review of a newer game that came out in 2024, depending on how quickly I finish it, because I'd love to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Or it's going to be another one of these older game reviews where I talk about one of, I think, the most underrated game of this decade so far, Guardians of the Galaxy. So we'll see. I'll keep you all posted. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. That's @TheGamerCritic. Link is going to be in the bio. Be good people, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right, peace.